My name is Rob Smithson. I lead our business applications business in the UK. Many of you may think I don't look like Marie Abry, and you'd be correct. She was originally going to be doing this presentation and unfortunately had to withdraw. So I've taken her place. And I'm going to spend the next few minutes talking to you about something called the innovator's dilemma and how you can overcome it. The first thing to outline is, what is the innovator's dilemma? So it's performing and transforming simultaneously. And it's also risking existing success whilst pursuing new opportunities. And if we within Microsoft like to look to Satya for guidance, he's our CEO. Before he was even established as CEO, he was already having a lot of thought around how he would drive innovation when he arrived in his role. And he has driven a significant culture change for any of you who've read anything about him. And he boiled that down to three things that he thought needed to be true. So first of all, having a good concept. Second of all, did Microsoft have the right capabilities and skills? And then thirdly, did we have a culture open to change? I've been at Microsoft now for 1 year. I came from a consulting background, so similar to many of you. And I think even in the year that I've been in Microsoft, I think that journey to cultural change is still continuing. So it's still something very much in progress. But compared to what it used to be, I think it's come a long way. So that's exciting. So the challenge for most companies is to create their future whilst also managing their present. And when I was a consultant, this was one of the biggest things that we used to struggle with when delivering technology programs, is helping businesses carry on doing what they do today and making sure that was successful whilst also with an eye to the future. And that's kind of the focus of what I'm going to talk about this afternoon. So we think that there's three different types of innovation. First of all, there's managing the present core business, keeping that at peak efficiency and profitability. Second of all is escaping traps of the past, so selectively forgetting different business practices, ideas, attitudes that have lost relevance in today's environment, and also divesting parts of your business that no longer make sense. And then thirdly, there's generating breakthrough ideas and converting them into new products and practices. And companies generally tend to stick around box one and over-focus on that. But in order to create future in 5 years' time, you have to selectively forget the past. And you have to think about what projects you have running across the three different boxes and how they will intersect by 2028. And the innovator's dilemma is how you drive innovation across all three of those boxes simultaneously. And the thing I liked about your presentation was you've effectively done this in real time in a short space of time. So exciting to see. Thanks for bringing my point to life right before I talk about it, so that's great. So if we start off with box one, managing the present. So this is modernizing the performance engine. It's about responding to linear changes in the environment, running the core business at peak efficiency, innovating within existing business models, extending what you do today, improving what you offer, keeping focused on near-term customer needs, optimizing operations for high efficiency, reducing variance. It's basically the company cash cow. It's what the success of the business has been built on and continues to be built on, paying the bills in order to allow you to move into these other two boxes. The types of innovation projects you might have running in box one are generally built around things like operational excellence, continuous improvement, and then products, so better, faster, stronger, that kind of thing. And it's usually characterized by techniques like Six Sigma, Kaizen, or marginal gains. If we think about a customer example to bring this to life, so South London Partnership, Hitachi have used technology, specifically IoT, with this customer to provide better service and also safeguarding to residents. And they've done this across three core areas. First of all, monitoring the movement of at-risk residents, which is already credited with saving 4 lives, which is really exciting. Second of all, around monitoring the flow of water in different gullies and culverts that are prone to flooding to protect people and property. And then thirdly, around air quality, looking at 440 different points within their area, and then cross-referencing that with people movement and vehicle movement to try and look for contributing factors that they can downgrade. Now, low traffic neighborhoods are not popular with everyone, but that could be what they would be using that data for, is to say, actually, if we were able to reduce traffic here, this is how we could reduce pollution. Equally, if we put in a low traffic neighborhood, is that driving pollution somewhere else? So this technology brings that sort of thing to life. It's about forgetting, letting go of fears. And if you cannot forget, you cannot create new things. And if you are good as an organization in this middle box, it tends to signal strategic clarity in what you will give up. And it also makes room for new innovation. Looking at Procter & Gamble as an example. So Procter & Gamble have a huge portfolio of brands. They also have a bold divestiture strategy. And in 2015, they sold 43 of their beauty brands to Coty Inc. And the reason they did that was because they wanted to get rid of as many as up to 100 brands to free up capital and bandwidth to focus only on growing 10. Closer to the tech world, TCS, one of 6 kind of pioneering outsourcing organizations in India, spent a lot of their initial growth growing call centers and became really, really successful at doing that. But their leadership team realized that it was actually causing a significant amount of churn in their organization. It was requiring a lot of management attention. And customers were just outsourcing their call centers in order to bring down costs. It wasn't part of their core agenda. And so TCS wanted to become offer more strategic guidance to customers. And they made that shift. They stopped working in call centers. They shifted towards becoming more strategic. And they've grown to over 300,000 employees today. So divestitures are part of box 2. They can unburden your organization of assets that have diminished in value, things that demand management attention that may outweigh the amount of revenue that comes back in, and also might attract a good price from a buyer. Divestitures raise a number of internal anxieties and market concerns, and they require a lot of active commitment and powerful executives to execute, but they also create liquidity and can be invested in future growth. And you can look at Microsoft and see that we're quite often divesting parts of our business and bringing parts of new parts of our business in. As we've got bigger, that's got harder and harder, and some of that is still going through approval and that kind of thing, so I won't comment on that. Skipped one slide too far forward. There we go. So box 3. What do we mean by box 3? There's a gremlin here somewhere. What do we mean about box 3 innovation? So business model innovation is not the same as product and technology innovation. The product may not change, but the business model might. So for example, you are trying to drive change across a number of different vectors. You want to attract customers. You might want to respond to changes in customer expectations. You might want to make non-customers become customers. You may indeed choose to change the product, or you might choose to change the way you offer a product in a new value chain. So an example would be when Dell decided to start selling direct. They were the only ones who did that. HP, IBM, Compaq, and all the businesses at the time did not do that. If we look at Dr. Martens, for example, they're an iconic British footwear brand, as you know. Their customers are young and pretty tech-savvy, and Dr. Martens had a significant demand to drive expansion globally to the US and Japan. And with the support of Hitachi Solutions, they were able to implement Dynamics 365 to create a multi-channel business model. So that supported things like buy online, return in store, or click and collect. And they used data to help them make smarter decisions. They also created what they called a virtual warehouse, which allowed them to have visibility of stock as a whole, but also stock per channel, which then allowed them to automate the overnight supply process to their stores, getting the right products into the right store with a very short lead time. So well done, Hitachi, anyone in the room who helped deliver that project. Essentially, there's a lot of uncertainty to incubating new capabilities, as it is a bet on the future. And assumptions are generally often quite high in this time, but your knowledge is low, so there's a lot of unknowns. And the challenge is to experiment and reduce assumptions over time and try and place smaller bets before you place bigger bets. You've probably already seen this before around fail early, fail fast, fail cheap, let go of the wrong future. At Microsoft, we're focused on areas that only a few years ago sounded sort of distant or science fiction, that kind of thing, and now are frontiers of innovation. A lot of those things were incubated within our research and development or research capabilities. Mixed reality, for example, is now becoming key in education, manufacturing, and medicine. Artificial intelligence will help us predict the next kind of crises like COVID, and focus our time and attention on things that matter most. And then quantum computing, so that will give us the computing power to be able to hopefully cure cancer one day, but also make a difference when it comes to global warming. To summarize, the challenge for businesses is to perform and transform and innovate across all three boxes. Companies have to move away from the urgency of today and the pull of the current performance engine and break free of today's thinking, and selectively forget the past. You also want to incubate new capabilities. You want to have a clear concept, conduct many short experiments to identify the critical unknowns, and then measure success on the ability to learn fast.